Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of Mick Unplugged. And today we have someone, the first time that I met her, I was truly captivated by her mind, her vision, all the amazing things that she has done and will continue to do for our military and veterans. I would love to present to you my good friend who has the most brilliant mind and leadership that I know, Miss JoAnne Bass. This is Mick Unplugged. Let us uncover the because, that thing that drives you, that thing that fuels you. I'm ready if you are. Let's go. JoAnne, how you doing today?
Mick, I'm so glad to be here. This is some love because we're recording this, by the way, somewhere downtown DC, and I live in Northern Virginia, and it is a whole thing to get here to DC. But I just, I'm honored and humbled to be here. I love the work that you're doing, period, but especially the work that you're doing for our veteran community. And so it's really my honor to spend some time with you. And again, the love to come all the way to DC to come and spend some time with your audience and really hopefully share some good insight that we can all glean from.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And, it goes without saying, I met you, it's only been earlier this year, but it seemed like forever. At an event with Robert Irvine, a golf tournament, a golf event to support our military, our veterans, our first responders.
Yes.
And the moment that my wife and I met you and your husband, we were like, those are our people.
Amen.
Those are our people.
I feel the same way, but I'll tell you, growing up and spending time in the military, 31 years for me and 27 years for my husband, we always talk about this notion of a military family. And when you're part of it, you just never leave it. And when we met you, we're like, oh, he's part of the family. Yeah. So it felt great. And a shout out to Robert Irvine and the foundation, who really is a connector amongst people and brings people together. And so thanks for being at that golf tournament.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to admit that we were all in the golf shop together trying to warm up because it was colder than we all thought it was going to be in April.
Yes, it gets cold here. Yeah.
No, but I want to talk about a little bit of your history with obviously the military. My daughter-in-law is a retired Air Forceman woman.
Cool.
And I'm just so passionate when I see leaders, because it's not easy.
Yes.
It especially in the military, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And your background amazes me. So talk to us about how you got started, what made you decide to do the Air Force, go through all of that with us a little bit.
So I am the daughter of an Army soldier. And so for my entire life, I have known nothing but national defense, right? As a military child. And then as an 18-year-old, I'll never forget, I wasn't quite mature enough yet to go to college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I grew up old school, by the way, where my parents were not paying for my college. Yeah. And I'll never forget, my dad always said, 4 years in the military never hurt anybody. And so I thought, well, I'll do 4 quick years, get a GI Bill, and figure out life. And then and I tell people this all the time, right? So I joined the United States Air Force, and not thinking that it was going to turn into a lifelong career and a real honor. But at the 4-year mark, I only re-enlisted, Mick, because I had a Honda Civic that I needed to pay off. So I wasn't completely all. We're gonna have to get a picture of that Civic and post it. But I wasn't completely all set in. I'm a normal 18-year-old, like most folks, who didn't necessarily sign up for patriotic reasons, but I certainly stayed for those reasons. So signed up to figure out life, get a GI Bill at the 4-year mark, signed up another 4 years to pay off my Honda Civic. And then it was probably about the 8-year mark when I started serving with people who we read about, right? Some of our nation's heroes who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. And I was part of those organizations and those units of true heroes. And so I started to really understand what it meant to wear our nation's cloth and to be part of something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
And the bigger than ourselves piece is where I like to talk about it, because only 1% of our nation serves. Only 1% of the United States population serves our military. Yet we are a free and prosperous nation because of that 1%.
Amen.
So it took me a long time to really grasp and understand that what we do is for the sake of our children and our children's children.
You know, and I'm trying not to get emotional because I know who you are and what you stand for. And you talk about that 1%, right? Why is it that we only have 1%?
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it a step further, because I don't know the number of this, but I don't know how many people that aren't a part of the 1% support the 1%, if you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like I was not a part of the military, but I can promise you every day of my life goes to support.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Why don't we have enough people that do that part?
You know, I am a persistent optimist, I call myself, by the way. I think by and large, the majority of people in our nation do support the military. I think what it is most people don't know how to really support the military or have a full understanding. You know, when as we talk about some of the challenges that our nation is going to face when it comes to, for instance, recruiting in the military, if only 1% serve, what I share with people broadly is we can't count on just the 1% serving to figure out our recruiting challenges. We need 99% of America who knows that this is their military. And by the way, I share that often with people. This isn't my Air Force or my Army or my Marine Corps, or my Space Force, right? Like, this is America's Air Force, America's Army, America's Navy, America's Marine Corps, America's Space Force and Coast Guard, you know, but it's America. So how do we start to educate and inform? I think it's platforms like yours that really do that. People, again, by and large, appreciate and what their service members do for them. They just sometimes don't know the how. And so now, as I've transitioned out of uniform in the last 20 months, that's part of some of my how is I know the power of our military service members and their families. But I think it's important that we really do educate America on the value proposition of a strong military. And Mick, one of those things, I do call our service members America's greatest competitive advantage. Like, if you have, again, if we realize, if employers, if industry, if corporate America really realizes the value that they get when they hire or bring on or onboard a service member, their family member, and that is talent.
Yes.
Like, just anyway,
Yeah.
I think we have, back to, you know, your question, I think we have more of an issue of helping America realize how they might support their military.
Okay. And that's your passion now. Well, one of your passions.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
I usually ask my guests at the very beginning, what's their because?
Yeah.
That thing that's deeper than your why, right? Like I say this all the time in every episode. Your why is probably your children, right? Your parent, your community, your family. But when I ask you, but why?
Yeah.
That sentence usually starts with, well, because.
Yeah.
And I care about your because. And so if I were to say, Joe, what's your because? Why do you do what you do the way that you do it? What's that burning desire and purpose for you now?
Yeah. Why are we getting so deep so early in the morning, Mick?
That's how we do it. That's how we do it.
This is what I've learned. So I would say that my because, I said it a few minutes ago, my because is because I want a free and prosperous nation for my two girls and your children and our great-grandchildren. That is why. But I know that the only way for us to have you know, the freedom of democracy, it's going to take all of us.
Amen.
So the military piece is one component, having a strong military, but we have got to, as a nation, rally around this thing called democracy, value what we all bring to the fight.
Yeah.
Industry has to start building stuff. Schools have to start teaching things. Parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles have to start teaching character and citizenship. So that is, again, I'm still trying to figure myself out, but what, because and why I do the things that I do is because I want years from now to be able to, rest well and know that our kiddos have it and their kiddos have it, and we're going to continue being a great nation.
I love that. So speaking of these kiddos, we're in a different era than when you and I grew up, right?
Yes.
And I say it's not bad.
Yes, we are.
I tell people all the time, it's not bad. When we talk about millennials and Gen Z, they're the most resourceful generations that we've ever had. But there's more things for them. There's more information. There's more access. How do we recruit them into military and or service? What's the missing recipe for my kids and those that are going to follow?
That is the question of the century. And to be honest, I don't know that is not a question just for the military. I think all of workforce in America and quite frankly, workforce across the globe is really thinking deeply about how do we, tap into the full potential of this next generation. When I served as the Chief Master in the Air Force, one of the things I was very much focused on was the people aspect, the people behind the warfighting mission that we have. And I knew for certain that the only way we were going to tap into this next generation and the generations that follow after that is we can't have old, antiquated people policies that I came into 30 years ago. Our workforce looks different today than it did 30 years ago. The military looks different today than it did 30 years ago. 30 years ago, the workforce was primarily, the man coming to work and the woman staying home. And that is what things look like. And I'll never forget, the old generation military would say if the military wanted you to have a family, they'd issue you one. Like that was a thing.
Yeah.
That is not the case in today's modern military family or today's working family. And so we've got to update our HR people policies, and they have to be relevant at the speed that we need it to be able to onboard talent that we have. The other thing that I would say is, and this can be controversial, and I've had a lot of my peers in the military kind of freak out when I say these things, but when I think about the military that we're going to need in the future, it looks more like Ocean's 11 than it does, from 50 or 60 years ago. Like I care less about the rank that somebody has on their sleeves or their shoulders. I actually care about the potential and the talent and what they bring to the team. And so that's where I think we're going to have to tweak up some of our stuff to reach that next generation. The other thing that I would say, it's interesting because people always say, oh, this generation. And I'm like, they said that about me. And you, when we entered the workforce. And what I would say is this generation has choice. This generation wants to know that they are part of something greater. This generation is going to ask why. And we better be able to have some transparency to help, just bring them along so they understand the big, and they're so smart and talented. Like they know. They're going to be just fine. It's a we talk about 5 generations serving. It's the other 4 they have to understand this next generation that's coming up.
I totally agree. And you hit on something that when I'm talking to business leaders, I've been saying for the last 12 months, trust and transparency is the new currency. And so for every leader, trust, transparency, emotional intelligence, those are the 3 things that you have to make the forefront of what you do, because this generation, air quotes, right? That's what they care about.
Listen, Mick, I grew up in the military where, and I said this myself, you're joining the military, we ain't join you. Like I grew up saying those things, but again, it gets back after, like, this is a new world that we live in where the challenges that we had in the past are not going to be the same ones we have in the future. So tapping into that, right? It's trying to figure out that balance of, in the military, for instance, right? You're joining a profession of arms. It is a select few. It's 1%, as I mentioned to you.
Yeah.
But we're still going to have to take a look at our people policies. And if we want to hold hard and fast to, right, like, this is how it is, and you joined us, well, good luck with that. We've got to figure out, where does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, that's why you're one of the most brilliant minds that I know. And from a leadership perspective, you kind of hit it really quickly. So we're going to zoom in a little bit. She said she was a Chief Master Sergeant. She was the 19th Chief Master Sergeant of the United States Air Force, which means you're a bad, shut your mouth, I'm talking about Joe, right? Talk about the moment, and it probably isn't a moment, but when you realized being the leader was your destiny. Because I know for me, when I felt it for the first time, and it was almost like I looked out and I could see, oh, whatever I do impacts all of them. Whatever I say impacts all of them. The decisions that I make, boy, what was that like for you? And it's different because I was just leading a company.
Yeah.
You're leading the people that are protecting our nation.
Yeah. I would say that, what I recognize is, it's funny, right? Like, hindsight is 2020. What I recognize now is that leadership is absolutely a journey. And now I can look back at over 30 years and see that every assignment that I had, every duty title that I had, every work team, every team that I worked with, it was all a setup for the next chapter that was coming. And so I've learned that, and leadership is about, reps and sets, right? Like, you don't just go in there, right? If I evaluated myself based on, me 20 years ago, like, I'm a completely different person. The foundation's still the same, but the reps and sets that you build and that experience is huge. I will never forget, it was my birthday, June 15th, 2020, when I was sitting in Biloxi, Mississippi at my previous assignment, Keesler Air Force Base. And I was, one of the last few that were being considered for Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. I already had a blessed, wonderful career, by the way. And at that particular time, myself and my husband, we were looking at property for when we retire, because, just like any other job, right, there's kind of a hierarchy, and it just gets fewer and fewer. And so we thought, hey, we've had an amazing career. We're going to continue serving, but it may be out of the military. But I was being looked at for Chief Master of the Air Force, and going through the interview process, which is, pretty selective. And I got a note from my team when I got into work that day, and they said, hey, the future Chief of Staff, General C.Q. Brown out of Hawaii, out of the Pacific, is going to call and let you know if you were or weren't. And so I was like, okay, no pressure, right? Like, so I go home for lunch, and it occurred to me, like, man, I haven't even prepared what I'm going to say when and if he calls. Yeah. And so I started thinking about, what am I going to say when he says, you weren't it, right? Like, because I'm, again, in my mind, not thinking that I will be the Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force. There's so many other strong, qualified, capable leaders. So I'm preparing for my, I'm not going to get it, speech. And he calls, and, again, my birthday. And he's like, hey, Chief, I just wanted to let you know that I selected you to be the next Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force. So I was shocked. I didn't prepare for what I was going to say for that. And the only thing that came to mind was, General Brown, sir, you made the right damn decision.
There you go.
And I don't remember anything else. I blacked out, called the family, obviously, and was so excited and also humbled at the thought of being able to lead our Air Force, 689,000 total force airmen that make up America's Air Force. And I tell people all the time, I'm not just the chief to the enlisted force, but I was chief to our officers, our civilians. The aspects of war fighting matters to me, but also their care and well-being and that of their families and setting the conditions so those total force airmen could continue to ensure the safety and security of our nation. So it came down. But when people say, hey, Chief, what does it feel like to be the Chief Master in the Air Force? I say the same, right? Like it's just, you have more responsibility. But I've learned the keys to success, and those are to surround yourself by people who are smarter and more talented than you. Yes. And when you know how to bring the secret sauce together, and those are just teams of people that are empowered to get after it, then you just get out the way.
Yeah.
Every leader has a role. And so again, if we're not threatened by the role that people play and the skills and the talents that they bring, and we just let them, we provide vision and direction, but we let them handle it. It was, I tell people all the time, again, it was truly the team that I had surrounding me, but it was the men and women who serve in our Air Force who continue to make our Air Force strong.
I love that. I appreciate that. I also know you're humble because you don't get chosen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just for the sake of being chosen. So now I'm going to ask you the deeper question, because you talked about responsibility, and in the Bible it tells us to whom much is given, much is required.
Yes.
Right? So what was required of you with this new responsibility? Meaning, what did you have to channel inside knowing that there's a new requirement?
Yeah. I think a lot of preparation, right? And a lot, certainly a sacrifice of time. And so, I had years of experience to really start to understand how to manage time, how to provide margin in my life, how to prioritize the things that are important, and also how to, again, push down and empower other people to do that. But one of the things that my family and I talked about, especially as we were entering into the position, I'll never forget, again, we were driving from Mississippi to DC, 2 different cars. And, you have a lot of highway talk as you're trying to stay awake. And I'm talking to my husband as we're driving. And one of the conversations we had is, how do we, as we enter into this assignment, that's one of the biggest assignments I've ever had, huge responsibility, how do we fortify our family? Like we talk about, again, how do we take care of the force? Well, that's great, but winning for us was going to be that we're able to have a successful tour, do our part, take care of the United States Air Force, but the family can't be broken. Yeah. And it is a tough job, especially when you think about we're on the road 200 days out the year or more. And even when we're not on the road, we're coming home and the team's giving me trip books and planning for the next set of engagements. And all of the engagements we have matters because we've got 689,000 folks that are counting on us. Engagements with international partners, engagements with Congress, engagements with our stakeholders. So fortifying the family and the loved ones, I think, is key.
I love that. And I want to go into something that you just brought up too, because I think for all business leaders, we have this challenge. You talked about being on the road for 200 plus days when you had that assignment. And I know you now, and it's still the same. Like that hasn't stopped for you. You were still constantly.
But some of it's real fun now. Yes.
But you're still on the road.
Yes, though, I'm still on the road. Yeah.
How, for the listeners and viewers, how can we start to balance integrating family time into all the, my words, craziness that we have going on? Like how, because I think you've mastered that, no pun intended,
Yeah.
because I look up to you in that. It's something that I work on every day, is how do I balance being a father, being a husband, being the leader that my community needs me to be.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I have a circle of friends that need me too, and I've got to be there for them. And then, oh, by the way, I have this team of like 45 people that I lead, that all the decisions I make, like, how do you balance that?
Yeah. I will tell you that it took me probably 24 years to really understand that aspect, right? For the first part of my 24-year career, I think I was decent at it, sometimes not, and also sometimes hypocritical, meaning I would tell my service members and fellow wingmen, hey, take care of you, take care of yourself, take care of, all the things. And I wasn't doing it. And I'll never forget that assignment at about the 24-year mark. And because it was a rough assignment. Nobody knew the struggle that I had in the balance. Because what do we do, Mick? We go on, we put on a mask, and the only people who typically know is our families. And so there, somehow I had a wake up call. I've had previous conversations with my kiddos before, but there was one time where my youngest was like, Mom, you always put on your computer. Like I would come home from work, get home, set up my computer again, and start working, thinking I'm present, but I'm not really present. And so that was my 24-year mark in the military, was really an inflection point on, I need to get it together. And I've got to figure out a way to balance the different pillars in my life, the physical, the spiritual, the social, and the mental. Because if I can't balance that and I'm not a Philip Brown, then I'm not going to be great to anybody. And so I started to also at the same time study this thing called self-care.
Yeah.
They didn't do self-care when I came in, right? Like we didn't even know that. I don't even know that was terminology, but I started to realize that self-care is not selfish, that if I take care of myself, I can be a better mother, wife, leader, airman, community partner, whatever it might be. And so I just started practicing that. The other thing I learned is, you can never balance stuff, right? Balance just doesn't happen. So I started to use the word harmonize. And so I try to harmonize as much as possible my life.
I like that.
And I started including my family into some of the things that are important to me at work too. And so it's funny because I would have work engagements that I need to go to, I'm required to go to. And I would tell my husband, right, like I need you to be there, but not for everything, because I can't expect him to take on the same demand. So I'd say you can't miss the big stuff. I'll tell you when it's the big stuff. And then, of course, he would give my kiddos like a $30 or $40 to join me at a dinner event because he wants to watch the football game, right? Like so we learned, and it looks different for every family, but we learned to harmonize our lives to try to help balance. But it's a conscious decision every day. I'm not great at it, and I give myself grace, but harmonizing, bringing the family into the stuff, never missing the big stuff for your family is really important.
So I needed that.
Yes.
I needed that.
Yes.
So this episode selfishly is for me, because that moment right there, harmonize, that connected for me. I get it now. It's not balance.
Yeah.
It's harmony.
And asking your family for grace and asking your friends for grace. This time for me in quasi-retirement, this new chapter, I've told people this is like my payback tour. Like I feel like, because we all have to create margin depending what's on our plate. When I was Chief Master in the Air Force, by and large, I did not have a ton of time for my friends, like people who I love, because when I wasn't on the road or pouring into my immediate team, I had to pour into the family. So that is where for the last 4 years that focus was. And so now as a payback tour, but if your friends genuinely understand, then you're going to be fine.
I love that. So you brought up self-care, which leads me to kind of our connection with the foundation, the Robert Irvine Foundation, and just what it means to me. And I know what it means to you, being on the board of advisors there. Our military, our veterans, and their family, I think a lot of times we take for granted the love that they need to feel from us.
Yeah.
And I say feel because words sometimes can just be words, right?
Yeah.
Depending on what the moment is, words aren't even heard. Even with good intentions, they're not heard. How can we start making an impact so that, again, our veterans, our current military, the family, our first responders can feel the love because it's needed?
Yeah. I think the aspect of opening up your communities and really just spending time with veterans is huge. So, as I mentioned, we're downtown DC, and I was just at an engagement where we were talking about the kickoff today of Buddy Check Week. And that really is kind of a week for us to spend time and as veterans remind each other to check up on our buddy and make sure that they're fine. Because oftentimes when our servicemen and women take off this uniform, they're leaving a community to some degree that's all they've known.
Yeah.
And it can be tough. Like their entire military life, they've had their teammates, in their squadrons and their battalions, in their organizations and their units, and then they separate and they don't necessarily have that same level of folks. The majority of military service members transition well, but there are folks who don't, and they feel more isolated. So back to your question, what can people do? We can help bring people in and open up our hearts and our homes and our minds to this notion of community. Some of the most challenging times that I've had and my family have been trying to break that barrier of coming from an overseas military tour, coming to a stateside community and trying to get plugged into community where these folks have grown up together and they know each other. And they don't know who that military member is that, that gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning and leaves. And so again, I think that what all of us can do is really try to get to know veterans, get to know their families, embrace them, and just bring them into the community, especially our children.
Amen to that.
Yes.
Amen to that. So talk to us a little bit about some of the things you are doing post-retirement. Now, I know you sit on some boards. Again, you're the greatest leader that I know. You're a strategic advisor to several organizations. What is it that you're doing now? So,
first and foremost, I am able to be wife and mom.
There you go.
That is a blessing. When I got out, by the way, Mick, I love to write things down, and so I wrote down before getting out of the military, what's important to me, and I wrote down 3 things. I said, whatever I do post-military has to meet all 3 of these things, and that is, I'm only going to do the things that I love to do. I'm only going to do things that I'm good at, and I'm only going to do things that make a difference. Now, not everybody's in that position, right? Like, but I'm really thankful and blessed that I was able to say those things. And so in that, I knew that I needed to, in my payback tour, get back to being the wife and the mom that I want to be. And so I'm there primarily. I'm doing some work with Columbia Southern University as a strategic advisor to them, and very excited about the work that they're doing to help change lives through education. I'm working with some corporate industry partners and helping them understand the military and veteran community and how they can plug in and make practical differences. And so I'm really excited about the work that I do there. And then I do a lot of nonprofit work because, again, I'm pretty passionate about, as you can tell, like the strength of our military and what they bring to broader America. So also an ambassador for Hiring Our Heroes, ambassador to Face the Fight, and then I go around speaking when I can to larger audiences to share the work that we're doing.
Amazing. Speaking of, so I have an event March 12th.
Okay.
It's leadership and entrepreneur. I want you on stage.
I'd love to be on stage.
All right. It's in Greenville, South Carolina. So you and the family get to come hang out with us.
We get to have some sweet tea and
Is there any other type of tea? Like, why do you have to put sweet in front of it?
I'm just
tea.
Hey, I love my time in the Carolinas because I know I'm going to get fed well.
We'll take care of you.
Yes. But it would be my honor to come spend some time with your folks.
All right. We're going to do that. And it's on film too. So now we have to make it happen. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to get you out of here. My rapid 5, as I like to call it.
Okay.
5 quick fire.
Very
you ready?
Good.
Number 1, did you get the Honda paid off?
I traded it in. Of course, like everybody does. We traded in for something better. I started bowling after that Honda Civic. No.
Oh, so question 2. What'd you get next? Not what you have now. What'd you get next?
I think I got an Accord next.
Yes. Oh, so you upgraded.
You know, that's a
Kept
big
it in
deal.
the family?
Yes, that's a big deal.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Your favorite leadership book is?
Ooh. There's too many to choose from. Let me just share what got you here won't get you there. That was one of the first leadership books that I read because there's so many leadership books that tell you how to be a good leader. But in that particular book, it actually has here's what not to do. And I needed that.
Yeah.
Like I needed to learn that you don't have to win all the time. And that's in that. I would also say that the title should be helpful to every organization. And I used to share this in the Air Force. You know, we're the greatest Air Force in the world. But what got us here will not get us there.
Amen.
If we don't make some changes to get us where we need to be. And that applies to every organization. That's a pro tip of the day.
There we go. Pro tip of the day. All right. Your favorite, I got to get this right. Your favorite food in the United States. So if you're traveling in the United States.
Asian food.
Asian food.
Here's what else is fun. For those of y'all who still don't believe that there's algorithms to your devices, because there are. I'll never forget, we landed in LA. We were en route somewhere else. It was COVID time frame. I was with my team. And I'm a big foodie. So we start to Google and Yelp places. And so I'm looking at places to eat and there's all these awesome Asian places. And I'm like, look at all this, man, who knew that all these Asian places, are the top 5 places to eat here in LA. And my battle buddy was with me and he said, Asian? He said, I have all Creole. And I'm like, there's no way. I'm looking at the top 5. So all that to say, algorithms are a thing, but Asian food.
When I'm in LA, Roscoe's shows up.
You see, if we went, we'd have a whole different lineup.
There you go. Yes. All right. I will end up with this. Who is the best cook in the family and why is it Ron?
Oh, you said, why is it Ron? So we both, I love the fact that I have a husband who also cooks with me. He does the grilling. I do most of the cooking. It was funny. We were talking about even as we get ready to embark on Thanksgiving, he acts like he does smokes a turkey and does a ham or whatever. And it's like everything. And I'm like, bro, I just did like 20 side dishes, right? Like I did everything else, but he's like, woo, so he does. We both help out. We both have our own specialties.
Smoking the turkey and the ham, that's time, energy, and effort. I'm with Ron on that one. What are the sides you make? So Thanksgiving, what's your top 3 sides?
So remember, my first duty station was Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Pope Air Force Base. And so I learned very quickly from the Southern women how to cook, by the way, because I didn't know how to cook as a young 18-year-old.
Okay.
So they taught me how to make dressing, not stuffing.
Thank you.
Dressing.
My wife had to understand.
Macaroni and cheese, sweet potato casserole, corn, mashed potatoes, green bean, all the things. I can make a mean sweet potato pie. In fact, even people who say they don't like sweet potato pie because they like pumpkin pie, you haven't tried mine. So sweet potato pie and red velvet are both my things.
Oh, it's Thanksgiving right now.
Yeah, so I can lead a military service, but I can also cook.
All right. Thanksgiving this year is the last Thursday in November. I will put in an order for sweet potato pie.
Yes.
You just tell me where to send the Venmo to, and I got you.
And I have to put a plug in again.
Yes.
I know this is, kind of going back to our conversation 20 minutes ago. But if you are a civilian and you don't, again, you want to make an impact, and that's what you started off with.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, invite some military folks to your home during the holidays. I always loved that, especially when I lived in the dorms and Ron lived in the barracks.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a way to connect with our family. We didn't want to go to the dining facility. Sorry, Air Force. We didn't want to go to the dining facility and eat, right? We did sometimes. But man, when communities and neighbors and people brought us into their home, you got to take the precautions. But I would say what a great opportunity to get to know a veteran by inviting them into your home.
So I have a challenge for everyone, and I want you to do this to myself, and I'll make sure I have Joe's socials published too. If you can do something impactful for a veteran, let us know, right? Tag us in social. You all know where I'm at on LinkedIn and Instagram. I'll make sure you have Joe's as well too, but tag us in social because it's that impact that truly matters. Everyone thinks that it's financial givings that you have to do. A lot of times it's just the time that you can sincerely take that drives the most impact. So I challenge you, but I want to see it on social. Tag me.
Yes. Better together.
There you go. And for all the viewers and listeners, remember your because is your superpower. Go unleash it. Joe, I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. And thanks to everybody for listening. Look forward to connecting with y'all.
There you go. And this is for you.
Oh, I love that. How to be a good leader. About to be one of my next faves.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this,
I even wrote
Mick.
you a little note in there. So.
Oh, thank you, Mick. I appreciate it.
You got it. You've been plugged into Mick Unplugged. Don't just listen, take action. Rate and subscribe. Follow me on social and get the full experience at MickHuntOfficial.com. Keep building, keep leading, and most importantly, keep dominating.